Welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. Mac, we're traveling out to my home state today, Dallas, Texas, and we're talking about SMU. We have an interview with the head man, Rhett Lashlee, coming up in this episode. He joined us from Wyoming on his family vacation, which again, because we had the Nardoos yesterday who joined us from the beach, I don't know why these guys do this, but we really appreciate it. But Mac, you were just there, and we're going to do this live, Mac, because you were just there on Friday. We're recording this early in the week, so you haven't really told me much. I want to hear your reactions from being in Dallas.
Well, I just wanted to not keep it a secret, but I wanted to keep it where you're seeing the emotion,
Yes.
hearing it for the first time, and here's the deal: the ponies are going to be really good, and it was fun to watch. And I think the thing that jumped off the practice the most, and say jump off the screen, but it wasn't the screen, I was there. It was Kevin Jennings' team, no question about it. Like undoubtable leader, the confidence that I saw from him, KG, the little details, the ownership. If something went wrong, boom, he's straight to the guy that it went wrong with, and then bam, straight to Coach Lashley and Coach King. And it was just cool to see because it was dramatically different from a year ago where we're in practice and KJ's the second string, maybe fighting for the first string. And, he throws a couple of really bad picks and I'm just sitting there like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then of course he goes on to fight his tail off and become the starter and did what they did. But it was night and day different. And really just even how he was. I mean, we've had him on the podcast and we've kind of, got him going a little bit, but he was ready. He was talking and, explaining things, not just one word answers. And, it's fun to see that. It's fun to see these guys grow and, just his footwork, like things that he'd been working on. I could see it right there in practice. Now, clearly that needs to translate to the field and to the game and, when we're keeping score, but it was night and day from a year ago. And I was really proud and just excited to see kind of the development that he's had and where he is right now.
That's great to hear, Mac. And that's what we love. I hate to get all, cliche here, but that's what we love about college sports.
Yeah.
That's what, if you're an SMU fan, you've gotten to see this guy grow and grow and grow. And now this is fully his team. He's in the Heisman conversation. Like, that's what college sports should be.
Correct.
With some of these homegrown guys. And he's from Dallas, which is just so cool. So I love that, Mac. I think we all, not saying that that's not good to hear, but I think we all kind of expected that. It's KJ's team.
Yeah.
Beyond that, because we know SMU has a lot of pieces to replace, Brashard Smith stands out. They do have, as someone you need to replace, they do have a good amount of talent coming back offensively. You look at those tight ends, RJ Maryland, Matthew Hibner are going to be great, Jordan Hudson at receiver, different guys they're excited about at running back. Who stood out to you in terms of the targets for KJ?
Yeah, the crazy thing about this, because I think they do have some depth. Now, there's some young depth, too. There's some new guys. There's some really young guys. And there's a small core with, Romello Brinson and Jordan Hudson that are, established, and they'll run out there first. But 45, Isaiah Robertson, popped all day. I mean, that guy was shifty. He wears number 45 at receiver. It's like a family number. It was ugly as sin out there. But his routes, crispy, KG. He's going up, plucking the ball out of the air. And I think he was of the 3 or 4 that they brought in, I think he was the lowest recruited in regards to stars and whatever the heck, who cares, but good, really good. And he got a lot of burn with the ones and was doing some stuff with KJ, which made me think this guy's ready, to impact this team right away. Love what I saw from Jalen Cooper. Love what I saw from Brown to kind of wrap up the freshmen there that, really did some fun things. And I think all 3, maybe all 4, Singleton, another freshman, 13 there, they're all probably going to play like now. Now, how much they'll be able to absorb, I don't know, but 45 stood out the most that day. Now, again, we only get to see one day, but he was on fire, and it was really fun to see from him. The tight end's great, still kind of getting back from injury. It looked like Hibner maybe a little further along, ready to go. Hopefully we get RJ Maryland back in a couple of weeks into the season. I think they would love to have him before Baylor, obviously, or for Baylor, but, wouldn't mind if it was conference play when they got him back. Sure. But just that ability, to go 12 personnel and to have RJ moving around wherever, mismatch nightmare, and then to have Hibner as the true tight end there, really freaky and fun to see. And then from a running back perspective, a little bit harder, to evaluate because there's no pads on, or they weren't tackling. There were pads on, but they weren't tackling. So, did a guy really break free? What would he have done in a TFL potential situation? Does he break loose or does he get tackled? A little hard to tell there, but love what I saw from Derek McFall and Chris Johnson, kind of the dynamic receiver type guys. TJ Harden, the big, transfer from UCLA looked fantastic. More of that power back, goal line, short yards. They're going to smash him, to the line of scrimmage there. And then Green, the freshman, they call him Chunky, which I don't know why. He's not like he's fat. He's a good looking running back. He was spectacular too. And maybe he has the highest ceiling, of the running back core there. It was kind of interesting. We talked with Coach Lashley when we were on site, and, it was one of those things where he kind of wants 1 to 2 to emerge as the guy and to really, kind of feel that. And we'll see. I mean, the guys might demand it. All 4 might demand, playing time with how they practice, how they perform when they get their opportunity. But I know if they can hold a guy or two, they'll be in a good spot there for the rest of the way.
Offensive line wise, anything stand out for you there?
Yeah, good size. Last year they had that in flashes, but it seemed like the size was really good. Logan Parr is a freak. I think he's kind of the leader of the track there at the left guard. Really like what they brought in. Savon Bird looked really good. Sweet feet. PJ Williams is a guy that, coach recruited, and now I have to specify who I'm talking about when I say coach. We got a new coach. We get to work with him, which was really fun. I
want to ask you about that.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. Just the different things. But he recruited him to Texas A&M, and Sweet Feet, he thinks he can be a big-time pro. So really those 2 bookend tackles there were fun to watch. And then just depth. Can you keep developing guys? Can you be ready? But they look bigger, which is a good deal, and you have a couple of transfers coming in to help with that. Yeah,
that's the biggest adjustment everyone knows, from Group of 5 to Power 5. Defensively, we talk about this with Coach Lashley. Now, when you look back at their last 2 games, obviously the Clemson loss, the Penn State loss, they gave up a bunch of points. But a lot of that was the offense giving up a bunch of points. Sure. Some turnovers, especially early on in the Clemson game. And then, of course, the Penn State game. Right? Just the picks. So you can't blame the defense for that. I thought overall this was a scrappy defense last year, very good defense. They forced a lot of turnovers, but they have to replace a ton, Mac. Did it feel, I know you still have Scott Simons and you still have that feel, but did it feel like a new defense?
Yeah, well, I will say this too. If you look at, the defense as a whole was elite last year. They were very good.
They were really good.
Look at the first half of the Clemson game, brutal, and the second half of the Penn State game, brutal. But the second half of Clemson, first half of Penn State, they were really good. And they gave both those teams fits, and, they couldn't really figure out what to do, in those halves. Unfortunately, you got to play 60 minutes, not 30. You got to put it all together there. But yeah, I think when you look at it, a lot of leadership gone, right? A lot of production, gone from that group, especially the front. Just when you saw what those guys were able to do a year ago, big bodies, experienced bodies that, really made things happen. Now there's some new guys. Some new guys have to step up. And I love what I saw from, the 2 big defensive tackles, Jeffrey and Terry, which is hilarious. Those are the nasty D lineman names, Jeffrey and Terry. But they look great. And they had great size, twitchy. I think there's a bit of an upgrade to be had there. But then the edge, can Isaiah Smith, can Cam Robertson there, can they step up to get that sack production? Or do you have to scheme it? And do you have to blitz and you have to find a way? That will be really interesting to tell. Linebacker will be interesting. They have some guys that have some experience there that have played. But I think really at the safety position is where leadership, production. I mean, you talk about Isaiah Wacobia, one of the best in the country. You look at Ahmad Moses right beside him. Those 2 have a chance to be very, very special. And they're going to have to be, I think, for this defense to be as good as it was a year ago. But get your hands on the football. Who knows what will happen? Yeah. I don't know if they'll have the same tackle for loss, sack production, but no one can say that they will not, have the type of turnover possibilities there by getting that ball out.
Well, in the offense, you're not going to need necessarily, if things go well, you're not going to necessarily need to win games with your defense.
Correct.
They just need to be formidable, because this offense, you averaged 36.5 points per game last year.
Yeah.
Can you be in that realm too? It's just, it felt like at times, you think back to maybe the Duke game, the defense had to save them because of the turnovers and the picks committed by KJ. So that's kind of my other question, Mac. Before we get to Rhett Lashley, we need to talk their schedule too. I don't know if you could have seen much of this on one day, and just talking with Kevin, like the interceptions and the turnovers were an issue last year.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was a point of emphasis?
Oh, no question. And again, like you said, it's hard when you're practicing and, you're put in situations to really win. But that was a big deal for them, all off season. Like, how can I change this decision? How can I make a better decision? What can I do? From just a quarterback standpoint. Now, some of those, listen, tip balls are picks most of the time, and that's probably not your fault, but was the ball a little behind him? If you would have led him a little bit more, would that have happened? If you would have just taken off and run? So I think just learning those things as a QB and really even KG having like the belief, the confidence that you are the guy. And not that he was looking over his shoulder last year, but he probably was like, man, if I don't make a play, what am I good for? They're going to bring in somebody else. And so maybe he took a little bit more chances just trying to fit it in there. Well, now, hey, run the offense. Like, you're going to dictate what we do, how far we go. It's all on your shoulders. And that sounds like it's pressure, but it's also freeing in the fact that this thing is built around you to run and to be at a really high level. So I certainly feel like he and Derek King, who are on this same track right now, year one as a coach, year one as a starter, year two as a coach, year two as a starter, they're learning together and really figuring this thing out. And obviously the comfortability, the growth, the normal things that we see year one to year two as a starter, I believe we will, with him. And again, is that stats? Is that more production? Is that less turnovers? However it shakes out, I think it's going to be clear at the end of the day.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do it all. I think that's something that maybe just being the guy, like you said, will be freeing.
Yeah.
The schedule is more difficult than last year, Mac. I mean, they open with East Texas A&M. Then they have Baylor at home, at Missouri State.
We've talked about this, though. Well, let me tell you. I'm glad you asked.
Okay, tell me why.
They had, I can't remember who, so I only have half the information. But somebody dropped them. Do you recall that? Maybe it was
somebody dropped
SEC
SMU.
Team. Somebody dropped them last year. Like
no,
they just dropped them.
I do remember.
And so SMU's like, what are we going to do?
SMU fans will tell us. Yes.
Right. Tell us who dropped you. But that was the only game they could get. I mean, it was like a mad scramble to just find a game. Coach,
that's why.
I did the same thing. We called him out. We're like, what are you doing? And he texted me right away when he saw it on TV. He was like, that'll never happen again. It's super unfortunate. Blah,
I remember that. Okay.
So
all right.
Funny. But I'm with you. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Don't ever do that.
So that's interesting. And then you got TCU, of course. But beyond that, you have Clemson, you have Miami, you have Louisville, beat Louisville last year, as we know. You're at Clemson. That's going to be a big one. The schedule, I still think it's manageable, Mac. Yeah. It's just because I am not trying to downplay what SMU did last year, not at all. But last year's ACC schedule was pretty much a walk in the park. You really just kind of had to beat Louisville. Like that was maybe the one team on the schedule that was, I imagine Louisville was favored looking back at the game. I'm sure they were. So now it gets a little more difficult, and you definitely got to win those games early. You've got to beat Baylor. You've got to beat your rival in TCU. I think if you want to stay ranked and stay in the national conversation, Mac.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And I think you're right. It is a very tough schedule. But the good thing is now your quarterback's a year older. And you're probably, if you could have it any way you wanted, this is what you would want.
Yeah, you'd rather have it this way.
The schedule getting harder and harder as you get more experience, as your culture, you get your players, and you're ready to really roll here. And you're right. It starts off with both of those rivals, Baylor and TCU, before conference play. And that's exciting. It should be a great litmus test. Baylor, I think, is expected to finish pretty high in the Big 12. TCU, is what it is, that rivalry. You're going there. Obviously, you want to do that thing. 'Cause I think this is the last time they play them, maybe forever. I don't know if they're back on the schedule. And
that's terrible. That should not happen.
But, SMU's talking trash. TCU scared. They wanted to get them off the schedule. I understand that. I get that, which is really tough here. But you're right. When you look at who they play in the conference, Syracuse is going to be a good team. Maybe not reflective on the schedule and outcomes, but a very tough team. At Clemson, brutal. Versus Miami, how fun will that be? A lot of the Miami guys going back and forth. And then, of course, Louisville there at the end. So it is tough, but I like your quarterback. I like your team. Love your head coach. And I think that you're ready to take a step here. And what does that equate to? Is that 3 11-win seasons in a row? Is it winning an ACC championship, getting back to the playoff? There's a lot of expectation, on these SMU Mustangs.
Mac, I hate to be a downer before we talk to head coach Rhett Lashley, but I want to talk about the win total 8.5. And okay, this is just, we both love SMU. We love what they've done since joining the ACC. Rhett Lashley is the absolute best. And we want SMU to succeed because obviously SMU is one of the next big brands in the ACC. But if I'm taking all that out, okay, and I see the win total's 8.5, what I see is all of your winnable games, like check mark, win. Or at least the vast majority of them are on the road. And that worries me, Mac. So the games you should win, Cal, Boston College, Wake Forest, all 3 on the road. Yeah. You're better than those Missouri 3 teams. State. Yeah, Missouri State, sure. TCU, you're better than all those teams.
Right.
But you have to go on the road. You got to go to Wake a little late in the year. You got to go to Boston College in November. It's freaking freezing up there. One of the coldest football games as a spectator of my life was in Chestnut Hill. It's brutal. Cold. So that worries me, Mac. That really worries me with this total. If I was a betting woman, which I'm not.
Are you doing it right now?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is probably an 8-4 situation.
Which 8's a good number. That's a good number.
I mean, it would be a very solid year. I just think the schedule is a lot tougher. And that's what I look for with teams when you look at, okay, where are your winnable games, but where are they? And all of those, Mac, all of those are on the road. I mean, you have Syracuse at home, but then your other home games, Louisville, Miami. Oh, Stanford. Okay, that's winnable. I'll give you that one. Baylor. And then you got to go to Clemson. I'm leaning under, Mac, and I'm so sorry to say it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's wrong. And, again, it's a difficult schedule. You just don't know. But when I look at for 4 losses, I think Clemson, obviously, and people are going to roll their eyes, I'm sure. Miami, I think, is pretty sizable there. Those are the 2 I feel really good about. They beat Louisville a year ago.
They did.
And, Baylor is what it is. I don't know if it's quite comparable. And I understand they might be good, but I think SMU is really good. And you got them at home. So, I think 9 is as low as I'll feel. So I guess I'm going over, but I don't feel bad about 8. I wouldn't sit here and say, oh my gosh.
I think 9 and 3 is also like, that's why Vegas put an 8.5.
It's that one swing game.
9 and 3 is very realistic.
Yeah, I think so too. And if I'm going head to head, Louisville versus SMU, if it was at Louisville, maybe I lean that way.
Sure.
But it's not. It's at home. So, I think they get the dub there. The only 2 that I'm even thinking they lose, and maybe they won't, who knows, it's going to be crazy to see, is really Miami and Clemson there. So I feel good about the over. I think the Mustangs are rolling, and again, we'll see. I know that's probably a pretty favorable pick there for the under.
I just had to get it off my chest, Mac. I don't like how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But it is the reality.
It's okay.
But we'll see. I mean, I think 9 and 3 is still very much attainable. 10 and 2 would be a great year, like you said, if you just lose to Miami and Clemson. And then, I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
With our guy Bill Armstrong, supporting this squad,
that's right.
You just never know what could happen. Mac, how many? Okay, last 2 questions before we get to Rhett Lashley, because I know the SMU fans want to hear from their coach.
I think, yeah.
How many billionaires did you see at practice? And then, well, he's not a billionaire, but how was it hanging out with Jimbo Fisher?
Yeah, well, maybe he is. I mean, he's probably close. He's closer than us. He's closer than the 2 of us.
Way closer.
It was great. But yeah, got to see Bill Armstrong, of course, friend of the show.
Our guy.
I think that was the only one.
Only one at an SMU practice?
Pretty disappointing.
What's up with that?
Bunch of brokies around here. It's pretty embarrassing. But no, it's good to see Bill. He's doing great. Gave us a big shout out. Asked about you, which is always the best. And then, working with Coach Fisher was awesome. I'm very excited. But I will say, as soon as I landed on my plane back home, the first thing I see is Jimbo Fisher wants to get back into college coaching.
I did see that.
I guess we'll have coach for 6 months, and then we'll see him
Mac,
later.
So you're telling me Jimbo did one show with you, and he said to his agent, I'd like to get back into coaching.
Hey, he's like, I got to get out of here. I can't do this.
So I think that's what happened.
Revolving door at the ACC network. Anybody want to come? It's also funny now that I'm just on this. Sorry, SMU fans. I saw a picture, and it was our first show ever, and it was Jack Collinsworth as our host.
Yes.
EJ Manuel, Coach Mark Richt, and myself, and I am the only one left. And it's so sad. And Coach is still working. He's just in the studio.
No, he's doing studio. Yeah.
The thing, whatever. It's just me. So here we are.
Mac, you are the foundation.
Fighting to the end. That's what I tell myself, at least. I'm the Christmas tree that holds all the stars, baby. It's all good. I can do it. All the pretty ornaments. I'm just
That's
here.
amazing. That's amazing.
All right,
Well,
without further
yeah,
ado,
let's get
can
to
we get to our
coach.
coach? Let's first get a message from our great friends over at Ingles. It's tailgate time. I'm sure they got brisket, so if you're an SMU fan over here and you want to feel at home, load up. They got the best meats in town. Get that smoker. When you come, SMU, when you come
Yeah,
visit Clemson
to the
this
upstate of
year,
South Carolina. Yeah.
you can go to the Ingles that I grew up on, right there in Clemson, South Carolina. They'll take care of you. So quick message from our friends at Ingles, and then we're going to get to the head coach of the Mustangs, Coach Rhett Lashlee.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Coach, great to see you. I do just have to address how kind you are to join us right now. If you look at his backdrop, that is not Dallas, Texas. He is on vacation, family vacation, and for some reason talking with us. You're too kind. Great to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Always good to be with y'all.
Well, I can't wait to see you in a week or so, too, at Media Day there. And I just wanted to, start this with some facts. Not to ruffle you up on feathers on family vacation, but Kevin Jennings is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. And it just seems like every list I see of these people putting it out, he's not on there. I know he doesn't care. I know you care. I care because it's kind of silly. How has he progressed, though, this offseason where he's going to make a lot of people look real silly in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's great. Kevin's Kevin, man. And that's what we love about him. He's hungry. He's been an unquestioned leader all off season. Look, the reality of it is it's how things happen in the order they happen in. If someone was to tell you that Kevin started 11 games last year, we went 9-2 and give you his stats and all these things, you'd go, wow, that guy's a dude. Because he is. But, the order it happened, I mean, I think people would tell you after that Clemson game, even though we lost, I mean, he was like top 5 in Vegas Heisman for the next year. And even though I have the utmost respect for Cade as a competitor and a player, it'd probably been a coin flip on who everybody's saying the best in our league, especially if you watch that game that night. But then you fast forward 2 weeks later, and we play poorly against Penn State as a football team, particularly on offense, and he didn't have a very good game. And that's all people remember. That's the last thing they remember, and that's fine. I mean, it doesn't change who he is as a player, doesn't change how we feel about him, and we wouldn't trade him for anybody in the country.
Coach, if you could give, I'm very curious about this because you had your first year in the ACC. You guys go undefeated. You play for the ACC title. You make the playoff. Like truly a spectacular year, a year that maybe honestly no one thought could happen, right? So what did you learn? Maybe one or two things. I know you've had back-to-back 11-win seasons, so it's not like this is your first season winning 11 games, but the success in the ACC, the playoff, give me one or two things that you learned from this year.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we learned is that we belong, and that was important to us to try to figure out. We really didn't know, right? And we thought we did, but we had to go out and kind of validate that, prove that. I think the second thing we learned as a program is that we have a winning culture and it works. And so now it doesn't guarantee anything next year. You got to defend it. You've got to fight for it, and you've got to continue to grow and develop it every year. That's where we are. But no, I think we proved we could belong. There's lots been made of our schedule last year and our schedule this year. I mean, we got a really tough schedule this year, particularly in conference. Last year, we dodged Miami and Clemson in the regular season. I don't think anybody would have thought Florida State would have been what that was going into the year. And we still had to go to Louisville. And we played a BYU team that won, I think, 10 or 11 games and a 9-win TCU team. So we had a good schedule. But now you look at this year, it's a real schedule with Baylor and TCU, and then what we got in our league. But that's exciting. We get a chance to go out, and we kind of have still this prove it mindset, I think. Like, I don't think people totally, even after last year, totally believe. They're like, okay, that was maybe a good 1-year story. Let's see what they do this year. And so we still got a lot to prove.
Yeah, and I think, discussing the schedule, it is nice to have, just to go back to your quarterback, that guy growing up and playing that. You wouldn't probably want it reversed. You like that
Hmm.
he's seasoned now. He's proven it to himself, and he's feeling really confident. Coach, you also have a really fun wide receiver group, too. I know you lost a couple of pieces, but you got some great guys back, and you've got some young freshmen that, man, they caught my eye when I was at spring ball. I'll let you go into names if you want to. You can keep it a secret if you want to, but there's some speed on that field that people are going to find out quick.
Yeah. We got some new faces. I think 4 of our top 6 receivers have graduated and left the program, and a couple of them are playing in the NFL right now. But we do have Romello Brinson and Jordan Hudson back, veteran guys, played a lot of football, and I think both are poised to have maybe their best year, which would be great for us and them, right? But then after that, we got a lot of young guys, and man, we got 4, I think, dynamic freshmen. Jalen Cooper played in the Army All-American game, was just really impressive in the spring, just from a maturity standpoint, and just, the game was already slow for him. He could play multiple positions. There's going to be a physical adjustment to college football once you get in games, but man, he's smooth, and he shows a lot of potential of being a big time player in the future. And then Daylon Singleton from right here in Dallas can absolutely run and fly. Made a lot of plays for DeSoto. And then we got 2 other guys from the local area, and Isaiah Robertson is a football player. I mean, think Roderick Daniels, but bigger, stronger, and faster. But I mean, he's a wideout, but man, I think he could do a lot of things. And then Carterius Brown, who's like, wasn't here in the spring when you were here, but he's a 6'4" plus big target. That's just 4 freshmen. We got Link Rhodes coming in from junior college, and we haven't even gotten into RJ Maryland, Matthew Hibner, who are weapons for us. So we may not have the guys that are going to be on all of the all conference team lists because they haven't done it before, but we feel like we got a good athletic, versatile group.
That was an understatement there, Coach. RJ Maryland and Matthew Hibner are going to be weapons for us. Maybe the best tight end duo in the country. Can you also update us with RJ Maryland, the injury last year? Just brutal to see. He was having such a great year. What is his status health-wise? What do you expect from those dudes?
Yeah, we were almost kind of starting to develop into an identity when he got hurt of him and Matthew Hibner playing a lot together. We were starting to kind of figure that out, and then he got hurt, and other guys stepped up. Our staff did a great job. Obviously, Matthew Hibner was fantastic, but RJ's great. Man, I hate to say he's probably ahead of schedule. He looks great. He looked great all June. And then I was in the office the 1st of July, watched the guys work out for a day, and him doing his rehab. He's cutting, he's doing all the things. He seems incredibly confident. He's working out with the team, doing a lot of the stuff in the weight room, squatting and running and jumping and cutting. We'll be smart in August and get him up to hopefully game ready by game 1. But the fact that, that injury happened into September, early October, and he's got a pretty good chance of being ready, not only for conference season, which was always our goal, but probably for the beginning of the season, I think is a big deal for us.
Yeah, that's exciting because he was, man, just so dynamic those first couple of games. And you just think what could have been, but it all worked out. And it's going to continue to all work out for him. But to have both those guys on the field at the same time, knock on wood, for a full season will be extremely fun. I know Brashard Smith is doing his thing, and he's in the NFL now, and he was such a huge piece of what you guys did. But am I crazy to think that McFall here could be a carbon copy of that guy? I mean, he looks very similar in, his skill set, his receiving ability. I know he doesn't have the experience or the age yet, but I like what he might be able to provide for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, what Brashard did, I mean, anytime you break Eric Dickerson's all-purpose single-season record, you've done something. He was right at about 2,000 yards of offense out the door there. But I do think we have 4 guys where we didn't have depth last year. We had Brashard, and we figured that out. And midway through the season, it was Brashard's going to carry and touch the ball a lot, and that worked for us. And I think the Chiefs are happy with that right now as well. I do think we may have more depth. And now, how does that happen? Does someone like Derek McFall take it and run with it like Brashard? Great. Or does it become a group deal? Derek McFall does have a similar skill set to Brashard. Both guys played receiver in high school half the time. So they have all those receiver abilities that create matchup problems for you. but they're big enough and tough enough to run between the tackles. And obviously they're fast on the perimeter. So there's a lot of versatility there. The difference is Brashard was a senior. So physically he had changed his body over the course of his college career, whereas Derek's going into his true sophomore year and he's gotten bigger this offseason. So he's not quite as big as Brashard, but he's not small. So I think between him and then you look at a guy like Chris Johnson who came over from Miami with that speed, we got two guys who can really catch the football out of the backfield, really fast, home run hitter type guys, but they're big enough to play running back. And then, we got TJ Harden coming over from UCLA who led them in rushing. Big back, can run though. He's not slow. And then we got a freshman and Dremeco Green who I think has a chance to be pretty special. So we got two bigger backs, two faster Brashard type backs, and hopefully we can do a good job of getting them the football.
When we talk about a guy like McFall, we know he's from Texas, right? And I've seen a lot of the recruiting going down over the last couple of months. And, you can't really necessarily talk about it that much, but how has that shifted for you, Coach? Whereas last offseason, last kind of recruiting cycle, you guys were just joining the ACC. There's excitement there, but now you've made a playoff and you're in Dallas and you've got guys you can bring back to Dallas. Like, what's been the shift for you from that recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, us being in the ACC and then having the success we did in year one and over the last couple of years has allowed us to start recruiting how we want to here and how we believe we need to. First couple of years we had to be really portal heavy to compete at the level we wanted to, but now everyone still has to dabble in the portal for certain things, and we will too. But you look at last year's recruiting class of 25, we were about a top 30 class. Right now we're somewhere in the top 20. That stuff kind of matters more to fans, but it is maybe a barometer of how you're improving your recruitment. And the caliber of players we're recruiting is different now. It's just different. And the people we're battling for players, we're battling the Oklahomas and Texas A&M and LSU's and Notre Dame's and Miami's. And that's who we're competing with for our players. And we're winning our fair share. Particularly, I think we have 10 players from the Metroplex committed right now that are all in the top 30, 35 players in Dallas. And that's a big deal. We're not just getting players from Dallas. We're getting some of the best players from Dallas and other parts of Texas. That's a formula for us. Location's everything in a lot of aspects of life, right? Well, for us, we have a really good location. And for us to be in the ACC and to have the success we've had on the national stage recently is allowing us to capitalize on our location and recruiting. And Dallas kids want to stay home. They want to play for their city. They want to stay in Texas, and they want to play here. Texas kids want to stay and play in Texas. We just now have the opportunity to provide them an option that makes a lot of sense for them.
Right, because it wasn't there before, right? If you want to compete at the highest level, consistently, surely there was that one spot maybe you could get, but now you're here and you've proven you can stay here, you can win, and you can accomplish any goal you want. And that has to be powerful for you guys, and I know it is. Kind of staying big picture before we flip over to the defense. We had Damon Evans on earlier, your new AD, and I just kind of told him it feels like in the last 5 whatever years it's been, there's been a real alignment shift at SMU. That's that linear nature from board, president, AD, football coach, and that's a powerful thing when you get that. Can you just talk from your perspective on that shift and what that has meant for you and your program?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. It just adds to the excitement and the internal expectations we have of what we're trying to build here, because it's no different than building a football team or a coaching staff. You want to get everybody pulling in the same direction. And the quicker you can do that and the better you do that, the better you chance you have for success, right? Doesn't matter how good your players are, how good your staff are, if everybody's not pulling the same direction. Well, we're blessed here to have everybody at SMU pulling in the same direction, from David Miller and Bill Armstrong and everybody on our board and Rich Templeton and so many others, to our new president, Jay Hartzell, to Damon Evans. Everybody, we're in alignment, pulling hard in the same direction. We all have the same big goal, big visions for what SMU, the university, needs to continue to become on a national stage, but how athletics can help that and how football can help that. Not just for us athletically, which we love, but just for the greater university success. And so, that's exciting to have that kind of just, alignment and bond and everybody pulling in the same direction.
It's huge. I mean, it really makes a difference in what you see in some of these other programs that have had success. When we talk about your defense, last year we know forcing turnovers, opportune, like making things happen, but still maybe wanting to see a little bit more consistency. Like, what do you want to see from this defense this year?
We got to be honest with you. I thought our defense was exceptional last year. I thought, what you think from a head coach, what gives you confidence going into the season? Well, when you feel like you have the best quarterback out there and you feel like you have the best defensive coordinator out there, if now you feel like the pressure's on you to not blow it on your side, right? So, like, I think what Scott and Maurice Crum and Calvin Thibodeau and Ricky Hunley and Sam Dunham and that entire defensive staff did last year was pretty special, because if you think about it, we went 11-3. We didn't lose a game because our defense didn't perform. We just didn't. We lost a BYU game that we gave the game away offensively. We lost a Clemson game that was just a great game, and we blew it in the first quarter with field position and some other things that put our defense in a terrible situation. But for the last 3 quarters, they pretty much shut down an incredible offense. Then you go to the Penn State game. It's funny because of the score and how it happened. If people don't really watch that game, they don't get
You
it.
think, yeah, yes,
Our
agree.
defense played well enough to win that game,
Yeah.
not keep us,
Yeah.
to win that game. They shut down the best tight end in football. The quarterback did nothing until late. The running backs were in check. You can't throw back-to-back pick sixes, and you can't score 3 points on 4 trips inside the 10, and yada, 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 right? But there was a 20-17 game to be had there. I thought our defense was exceptional, and I think it's hard to ask them to be, to your question, which was a good question, maybe more consistent. We stopped the run, uh, you know, and we were good in the red zone, and we rushed the passer when we needed to. And so I think the challenge for our defense is we have a lot of new faces. There's no more Elijah Roberts. There's no more Kobe Wilsons. There's no more Jonathan McGills, and I could go on and on. We got some really good players on defense, and we got some guys coming back we believe in, but we lost some really good leadership we had over the last 2 years. And so how do we transition into this year to try to play defense not only at that same level, which was really good, but maybe even raise that level, which I think we're going to have to do if we want to compete to get back to Charlotte again.
And I think everything you said there is super valid. And it is, it's just looking at the guys you lost and wondering who's going to be next. And certainly you have a better grasp on that than we do, seeing them each and every day and knowing the guys that you bring in. But it does feel like it's going to be a defense that is led or even produced from the back forward. You have a really talented group of safeties. How about that defensive line, though? Because there's some new faces. There's some young guys that maybe have to step up really early. What are your thoughts on what that group should be this year?
That's a great question. Last year, our defense was led from the front back. And
Correct.
not just on leadership, but talent, right? We had a really good defensive line. We had 2 experienced linebackers. We were, particularly at corner, a little young and inexperienced, and it hurt us at sometimes down the stretch late. But our staff did a good job there. It is a little different. Like, you got Isaiah Wakobe and Ahmad Moses at safety. That's 2 all-conference caliber safeties. I think we'll be better at corner. Everybody's back, and we've added some pieces. So our secondary has a chance to be a strength. It's up front. I do think you've got some leadership on the edge with a Cam Robertson and Isaiah Smith. Those guys have been here a long time. They were very productive last year. We lost all our D tackles. But what our staff went out and did, we got 6 big time over 300-pound D tackles who are athletic and can move, that are new to our team and new to our roster. But I feel like we addressed the issue. It's, do we get the production? How do we play together as a defense? What are the intangibles? But the talent and the pieces, I think we've replaced. And then you go to linebacker. We lost 2 really good college football players at linebacker. Alexander Kilgore has seen that for the last 2 years. I think he's ready to take that leadership role. Who are the other? We got a lot of young guys. We feel like we may have some guys that maybe run better, a little bigger, a little more talented, but don't have the experience at linebacker. How quickly do those guys come together? I think we did a good job of replacing a lot of what we lost in terms of the depth, the size, the skill set. It's okay. What about the defensive culture, the expectation, how we stop people when things are tough? We're going to need Isaiah and Ahmad and Kilgore and Cam and Turbo. That's Isaiah Smith for us. Those guys are going to have to be the ones the remnants of that those championship defenses the last 2 years to carry that over into this year's unit.
Yeah, and I was just looking this up. Sorry, KG, as you were talking about that defensive line and who you brought in. This is a projected depth chart. I'm not sure, how you have it, but if this holds true, this has to be the first time in all of college football that you have 4 guys with single-digit numbers on the defensive line starting. What kind of pull do these guys to get single-digit numbers on the D-line? That's crazy.
Hey, man, when you've been here a long time, seniority goes first. And in this portal era, when your 2 best edge guys come coach, I want to go from 58 to 1. And I want to go from number 15 to 9. You go, fine, whatever. And then you're out trying to recruit D tackles because you lost all of them, and the one guy you had returning, and Jonathan Jefferson, got hurt in spring, and he's not going to be available. So, you need guys, and these big 6'4", 5", 330-pound dudes are like, hey man, I want to wear 3. You're like, cool,
awesome, you can have it.
If they play well, they could keep it. If not, we're just going to tack on another number, and you go from 3 to 33, and that's just perfect. The way it works.
That is so fun. It's so universal in every sport. Like the big guys want to be the
teeny
tiny numbers, and it makes no sense. Totally, that's
it's
funny,
like Shaquille O'Neal wanting to be a point guard. Like, hey, sure,
always.
Give it a shot, man. Let's see how it works.
That's what I used to tell Mac when we used to go play rec ball. Go rebound and then give me the ball.
I'm gonna be outside.
Please rebound. Okay, Coach, last one, because we got a little basketball in there. I don't know if you were a Luka guy. I think a lot of people in Dallas were. Luka, great player.
Yeah, he was.
And obviously it was tough. However, Cooper Flagg coming to town. Have you gotten your tickets yet? Are you ready?
All right, I'm going to spend like 10 seconds on the first part. Yes, my daughter, Rowan, cried the next day when I had to wake her up and tell her that, because it happened like at 11:30 at night. My boys run into the room and like, Dad, did you see what just happened? I'm like, kinda. But then I wake up and have to tell Rowan, my little 9-year-old girl who loves Luka. She cried in my arms. Anyways, fast forward, I did get to see Cooper twice this year. I got to see him come to Moody Coliseum and put a thumping on the Mustangs. That dude is unbelievable. And then actually my boys and I drove to San Antonio. We watched that Final Four game.
Oh, wow.
But like, man, he's special. And, he seems to have all the characteristics of a guy who can become a guy. Now, from a basketball diagnosis from the Mavs, the good thing for him, if they can get healthy, you got AD, you got Kyrie. Yeah. Like, he doesn't have to carry him his first year or two, which would be nice probably for a guy like that. But he's got some big shoes to fill here when they've had Dirk and then they had Luka and now, But I know we're happy to have him in Dallas.
No I question. Hope Rowan is okay. I hope maybe she can get a Cooper jersey or something.
Well, she may or may not have gone to a game wearing her Luka jersey after that. And
oh, no. Poor girl. Poor baby.
But we'll get her converted. She's good.
That's right.
9 years old. You could change the mind quickly.
That's right.
But no, it was quite a time here in
Dallas.
That was
wild.
That's right. Yeah. They'll figure it out. Coach, great to talk with you. People came for the SMU breakdown. They stayed for the basketball references.